Leaving DC is a film that is pretty much made completely by a guy named John Chris. He stars in it, he wrote it, he directed it, he edited it, he did everything. I mean, he's basically doing this entire film by himself. Yes, there are some other names involved when it comes to the acting credits, because a girl shows up in the movie for a couple scenes, and then I think there's like voices out on the phone and whatnot. So it's not completely him by himself, but it's almost completely him. And I've always thought about doing this. I've always had a desire to, because I'm alone a lot and I have a camera and I have a pretty good knowledge of film and whatnot, I'm thinking like, fuck it, I should just make a movie. I should just make a found footage movie or something by myself. It'd be a fun project. And this guy did it, and it's on Amazon Prime. And while I personally didn't care for the movie much, I commend the guy for making the film. Kind of reminds me of that Bad Ben franchise. I think that guy makes almost every one of those movies by himself, and there's like 7 of those things now, and I think most of them are on Amazon Prime. So I don't know how much he's making off of making those, but a movie like this, Leaving DC, would cost nothing to make. $0. I mean, you could just use the things around your house. Because he uses like game cameras and stuff, like people put them up in trees to like spot deer and whatnot. He might have already had that. He might be a hunter. I don't know. I'm sure he used fucking the camera on his cell phone. I'm sure that he used whatever. Like, this film would cost $0 to make. So all this is this guy who's leaving DC, and he's going to live out in the, kind of in the middle of nowhere. And he goes out there and he starts thinking he's hearing something. So he starts recording sounds, and it really doesn't amount to a whole bunch for me. Like, it just kind of kept building, and I was like, all right, like, something's going to happen. Like, those scenes where something starts to go down in a found footage film, and so they start to investigate it, and it just they're starting to find out little things about it, and you're like, okay, like, all right, I'm starting to get slightly interested. Yeah, then imagine if the film just kind of ended there. You would be like, whoa, wait, what? I mean, the end of this movie is so unbelievably lackluster. Now, you're probably thinking, well, dude, it's just one guy by himself. I don't care. That's not a good enough excuse for me. He could have had a better ending to this. 100%. He could have come up with something better. That's my personal take on this movie, but this was a waste of my time. But I'm still inspired by it, because I look at this, and I look that it's on Amazon Prime, and I look how it was made, and I look at this, and his acting in it is fine. It's not bad. It's not good. It's fine. It's adequate. It's believable enough. It's all it really needs to be. And so I guess really the review is more of like saying, shit, man, this is almost inspirational to be like, well, I mean, if this guy can do it, And I actually was just talking about having a potential competition where everyone in my Sinister Cinema group on Facebook tries to make their own little 5-minute short, and it's just them and maybe a friend or two or something. Like, just something real small, no budget. Just write it, direct it, edit it, throw it up, and have a little competition just purely for fun. And this kind of, and then I watched this, right? Then thereafter, after I made that, made up that idea, and I was like, dude, I could do this. But yeah, this film, it's just not interesting enough. Like, really it is. It's just he goes there, he thinks he hears stuff, so he sets up cameras and he sets up audio. And a lot of the movies, just him going over audio files and then listening, and then there's like banging on a tree, and then there's like a flute being played out in the woods. And then what it ends up revealing to be, or possibly be, it's like, okay, that's kind of interesting. And then I'm looking at the time on the film, the timestamp, and the movie has like 5 minutes left. And I'm like, 5 minutes left? Oh my God, like, nothing's really happened yet. I hope this has like some kind of an interesting ending. No. Like, there's a couple little things that's like, that's all right, I suppose. But it's all just typical shit that you would see in any kind of found footage film. Nothing interesting at all. So nothing unique. Maybe in 2012 this was a little bit, maybe, I don't know, better. But in 2020, now that I've seen 6,000 found footage films, yeah, This one ain't cutting it. So not one I recommend at all.